The origins of Anubis, from ancient jackal god to lord of the dead. A dark figure stands at the edge of the desert. The head of a jackal. The body of a man. Eyes glowing with the mystery of the afterlife. This is Anubis, one of the most iconic gods of ancient Egypt. He is the guardian of tombs, the protector of the dead, the guide of souls into the next world. But Anubis was not always the god we know today. In the beginning, he was born from fear. Fear of scavengers that prowled the night. Fear of jackals tearing open shallow graves. Fear of death itself. Over centuries, that fear transformed. The jackal became a symbol of protection. The scavenger became a god. And Anubis rose, from desert spirit to lord of the dead. Today, we explore his origins, his rise, his myths, and his legacy. The story of a god who turned death into eternity. Chapter 1, Early Roots. Long before the Great Pyramids touched the sky, before the temples of Luxor and Karnak were built, Anubis already walked the deserts of Egypt. But in the beginning, he was not yet a god. He was a jackal, a scavenger, a creature of the night. The Egyptians buried their dead on the edges of the desert. Graves were shallow. Tombs were simple. And the jackals came. They dug into the earth. They dragged out bodies. They devoured the dead. To the living, this was terrifying. But it was also a lesson. If death could not be stopped, it had to be controlled. And so the Egyptians gave the jackal a sacred role. They made him a guardian. They transformed a predator into a protector. By worshipping the jackal spirit, they hoped to protect their tombs. The very animal that threatened the dead was turned into the one who watched over them. This was the first spark of Anubis. Not yet a god of embalming. Not yet the judge of souls. But a powerful desert spirit. Born from fear, and reshaped into hope. Chapter 2, Lord of the Dead. As Egyptian religion developed, Anubis grew in power. He was no longer just a desert spirit. He became a god. In the Old Kingdom, he was worshipped as the first lord of the dead. In the sacred pyramid texts, the oldest religious writings in Egypt, his name appears again and again. He carried titles of power. Lord of the sacred land. He who is in the place of embalming. Guardian of the necropolis. Every burial, every tomb, every soul belonged to Anubis. He decided who entered the afterlife. He judged the dead. He guarded their bodies for eternity. Priests called on his name during rituals. Offerings were left to him at the entrances of tombs. Even the pharaohs, who were seen as gods on earth, placed their faith in Anubis to guide them after death. In these early centuries, Anubis was the highest power in the underworld. He ruled over the dead. He was the master of eternity. But his reign would not last forever. A new god was rising. And soon, Anubis would have to share his throne. Chapter 3, Anubis and Osiris. For centuries, Anubis ruled the underworld alone. But Egyptian religion was never fixed. It evolved. It adapted. And with it, the gods themselves changed. During the Middle Kingdom, a new figure rose in power. Osiris, a god of fertility, a god of kingship, and soon, the god of the afterlife. As Osiris became more popular, he took the throne of the underworld. Anubis stepped aside. But he did not fade away. Instead, his role transformed. In the great myth of Osiris, Anubis plays a crucial part. When Osiris was betrayed by his brother Set and murdered, his body was scattered across Egypt. It was Anubis who found him. It was Anubis who wrapped him in linen. It was Anubis who performed the first mummification. Through Anubis, Osiris was restored. Through Anubis, Osiris became ruler of the afterlife. From that moment on, Anubis was no longer the king of the dead. He became their guide, the embalmer, the guardian, the one who prepared souls for judgment in Osiris's kingdom. In many ways, this change made him even more important. Because while Osiris ruled, it was Anubis who opened the door. Without Anubis, no soul could reach eternity. Chapter 4, Weighing of the Heart. Deep within the Hall of Maut, the dead awaited judgment. Here, Anubis stood as the silent guardian. Calm, watchful, just. The ceremony was simple, but its meaning was eternal. The heart of the deceased was placed on a golden scale. On the other side rested the feather of Maut. The feather of truth. The feather of justice. Anubis adjusted the scales. He watched carefully. The heart could not lie. It carried every action, every thought, every sin of a lifetime. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul was pure. The dead were led to Osiris and granted eternal life. But if the heart was heavy, if it tipped the scales, Anubis would not save them. Instead, the soul was cast to Ammit, a terrifying beast, part crocodile, part lion, part hippopotamus. She devoured the heart. And the soul was destroyed forever. This was the ultimate moment of truth. No wealth, no status, no power could change the outcome. Only a pure heart could pass the test. Anubis did not show mercy. He did not show cruelty. He showed balance. He showed justice. And in this moment, he was not just guardian of the dead. He was judge of all humanity. Chapter 5, Symbols of Anubis. Every part of Anubis carried meaning. His appearance was not random. It was a message. A symbol. First, the black color of his skin. Not the color of death, but the color of rebirth. The color of the fertile soil left by the Nile flood. Black was the promise of new life. It showed that through Anubis, death was not an ending, it was a transformation. Then, the head of a jackal. The Egyptians feared the jackal as a scavenger of graves. But they also respected it. By giving Anubis the jackal's form, they turned fear into protection. The predator became a guardian. The enemy of the dead became their eternal defender. Anubis also carried the flail and the staff, symbols of authority, signs that he ruled over cemeteries and sacred lands. Wherever the dead rested, Anubis was master. During embalming, priests of Anubis wore jackal masks. They became living images of the god. When they touched the body, it was as if Anubis himself performed the rites. Every bandage, every blessing, every sacred word, all carried out in the god's name. Through these symbols, Anubis was more than an image. He was presence. He was protection. He was the line between life and death. Chapter 6. Worship. Anubis did not have massive temples like Osiris or Moon. His presence was felt where it mattered most, in the cemeteries, among the tombs, in the silent necropolises. Cities like Sinopolis, city of the dog, became centers of his worship. Here, priests were trained in sacred rituals. They became masters of embalming. Their hands wrapped the dead. Their chants guided souls to the afterlife. Ordinary Egyptians also turned to Anubis. They prayed at the entrances of tombs. They left offerings of food, incense, and small statues. They asked for protection, for their loved ones and themselves. Anubis's priests wore jackal masks during ceremonies. They became the god in human form. Every ritual, every word, every touch, carried the power of Anubis himself. Through these acts of worship, Anubis protected the dead. He guided them. He judged them. He ensured that no soul wandered unprotected. Even in life, Egyptians remembered him. Because Anubis was not only a god of death. He was a god of care, guidance, and eternal order. Chapter 7. Legacy. Even after the fall of ancient Egypt, Anubis endured. The Greeks merged him with Hermes. They called him Anubis, a guide of souls, just as he had always been. Through the centuries, his image survived. In art, in literature, in tombs, statues, and hieroglyphs. Today, Anubis lives on in movies, in video games, in books and comics. But beyond pop culture, his story carries a deeper truth. A god born from fear, transformed into a guardian, a protector, a judge, a guide. Anubis reminds us that even in death, there is guidance. There is order. There is hope. There is the promise of eternity. From jackal spirit to Lord of the Dead, Anubis shows the power of transformation and the enduring human desire for protection beyond the grave. Finally, from jackal spirit to Lord of the Dead, Anubis shows us that even in death, there is guidance, protection, and hope for eternity. If you enjoy exploring the mysterious world of ancient Egypt, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories of gods, legends, and lost civilizations. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an adventure into history's greatest mysteries. Thank you for watching. And may the gods of Egypt watch over you.